In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, which looks hugely different than what we've been dealing with for the majority of December and basically all of January so far. Big changes on the way. I expect a whole lot more activity in the way of storminess that could come in the form of severe weather, pure rainfall, snowfall, ice storms. We expect a lot more of all of it coming up very soon. Before I dive into things, as we speak, I am uploading my vlog that I've been kind of hinting at for weeks now. Multiple snow events in that vlog. I'm so excited. It's a little embarrassing how excited I got in a lot of it. So that's going to be on the top right corner of your screen to check out. Even if you don't typically watch that type of content and you do watch this channel, it would mean a lot to me if you guys did check it out, give it a chance, maybe subscribe, at least leave a like, leave a comment, because I am trying to grow that channel and it is a little bit of a passion project for me. If not, it's totally fine, but be sure to check it out. A lot of snowfall, some of the heaviest snowfall I've ever seen, actually. We had 2 accumulating snowfall events in that one video, so super cool stuff. A lot more vlogs coming soon. With all that being said, let's dive into it. And as you can see, we have warmer temperatures along the eastern states, colder temperatures along the west expected for the 6 to 10 day outlook. That will run from January 31st through the 4th. So you can kind of get the sense of this flow, something like this in the east. And this all comes due to the diving cold air throughout the west. We call that a negative PNA, and that basically causes the warmth to move up the eastern states. And your jet stream will oftentimes look a lot like this throughout that period, if this is correct. Might look similar if you've been paying attention to the weather for years, because almost all 3 of our past winters have been dictated by this type of pattern. The only reason it's unique right now is because we haven't seen any of this for December or January. It's really been brutally cold, so this is a massive change. The precipitation, really a good look. This is above normal from the 31st to the 4th, from coast to coast, unless you're in the southwest, basically. And there is so many areas in the United States that really need this. So activity, like I mentioned earlier, in general on the upswing. Here's the 8 to 14 day outlook, which will run from February 2nd through 28th. And again, we see a lot of this southeast ridge type motion. The cold is spreading more towards the central states in through the west. And during this time frame, you would expect to have a jet stream moving up like this and around. A lot of storms moving along this area of the jet stream, which could in turn lead to a lot of snowfall opportunities in these pockets. So be on the lookout for that for early February. That seems to be the hot spot as of now from what I'm seeing. And when we look at the precipitation, it really looks coast to coast above average activity again. Here's the 3 to 4 week outlook, which just came out yesterday for the 8th through the 21st of February. And if this is correct, we might ride out the last couple of weeks of winter here on the same note. Colder temperatures across a lot of the northwest, north central states, with warmth for the southwest as well as the southeast and really the east coast in general. So much different than what we've been dealing with in recent weeks overall. Here's the precipitation outlook, and you could get a lot of snowfall in here, especially since we don't expect it to be a purely warm pattern. Again, revolving door, we've talked about that recently, but kind of cold, warm is what I expect. And if the precipitation lines up with the cold, you can expect snowfall opportunities to persist. I saw a lot of comments on yesterday's video where they're like, great, winter's basically done. And that's not at all what I mean. The cold is subsiding, but really, a lot of people complaining about little to no snowfall in the north especially. The reason is because it's been so cold. The jet stream has been forced so far away from you guys that you're dry. So this is almost going to give you a better chance of seeing snowfall than those extreme cold days that we've seen recently. So it does not mean winter's over by any means, and it might even be reason to be a little bit optimistic. So above normal precipitation and snow chances in these areas. Same story for a lot of the Northwest and Northern Rockies in general, with a little bit of drier conditions along the southern states there. Again, majority of February here, 8th through 21st. Now, the past 20 days have been frigid, like I mentioned, very cold across these regions, and that's why we've been left basically dry across a lot of these northern areas, and we've had storms riding along the deep south here, bringing snowfall to very abnormal areas along the Gulf and the southeast coast there. But very cold. For a 20-day period to see the widespread greens here is unreal. That's 10 to 15 degrees below normal on a 20-day period is just insane. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this on such a long term look like this. Now, we're going to move into the model guidance, so let's take a look at the European model first. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but the vlog is in the description and pinned comment down below as well. If you guys didn't see the thing on the top right, I am going to put it there, but I know it's a little finicky sometimes and doesn't pop up, but be sure to check that out. Let's take a look here at this afternoon, and really we're pretty quiet outside of some snow showers across some of the central Rockies and Sierra Nevada mountains. Some rainfall across Southern California tonight into tomorrow morning is very, very good news, obviously, for the fires out there. And then we even have some showers and thunderstorms popping up for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi here. So some activity, nothing crazy though. And we still have some cold to work with in a lot of the central, especially the north central and northeastern states here. But that is actually going to basically continue to subside here. For the day on Monday, we do see some showers and thunderstorms across the southeast corridor. Continued precipitation here across Southern California, portions of Southern Nevada, and even western Arizona there. Snow and rain, a little bit of a mixed bag. Tuesday, it's a lot of the same. I mean, we have some spotty precipitation. I'd say the biggest threat for a snowstorm in the next, I'd say 4 or 5 days is going to be this Clipper system, which basically moves down along the northern jet from Canada into the Great Lakes, and it's going to try to swing underneath a little bit for the northeast here, which could pose a bit of a snowfall risk there for the northeast as well. So Great Lakes, some of the mid-Atlantic and northeast there. And we see that by Wednesday the 29th, all of that snowfall. And again, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, some of the mid-Atlantic and northeast getting in on that. Might not be the biggest snowstorm in the world, but it is snow. We get a little bit of a cold push here for the Wednesday 29th time frame into Thursday the 30th. But then we warm right back up for the 31st time frame as that warmth pushes back in. Meanwhile, we have a couple of stronger storm systems. One here near Texas, where we have snowfall on the western end. Severe weather throughout Texas, perhaps Oklahoma, Kansas, even a little bit of Missouri and Arkansas there to the east of that low. And then we also have a low offshore of the Pacific Northwest there, bringing rainfall and snowfall respectively, depending on your elevation. Now, as we keep going past Friday the 31st into Saturday the 1st of February, we see tons of snow, tons of rain, just tons of activity out west. We're talking the Cascades, Rockies, Sierra Nevada, all the valleys in between seeing precipitation here. So activity is on the upswing. We also have a bit of a low pressure center here over some of the plains like Kansas and Nebraska. And this is bringing widespread impacts, as you can see, for a lot of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, deep south here. We'd be watching for a thunderstorm or even severe weather corridor here for portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, maybe even pushing northward into Illinois and Indiana. We can tell our jet stream is way up to the north. We have something like this. So we have this warm push happening to the east of that cold front, which is very typical. So warm and humid out ahead of it. A little bit of cooler air diving in underneath this cold front, and that could be enough to cause instability along that line there. Let's take a look at Sunday, and this is going to be for February 2nd. We do see our low is cut off near the Great Lakes. Cold front still wrapped around here for the eastern states, and we see the southeast, deep south, and maybe even the mid-Atlantic dealing with showers, perhaps thunderstorms, especially the further south you go. Definitely going to be something to keep our eyes on. Snowfall throughout the Rockies and Cascades still, so they are going to start to tack on the totals here. They're really going to make up for the lack of snow that they've had so far, I think, here over the next 2 weeks. We even see some wintry precipitation the closer you get to this Canadian border across portions of the Midwest and the Northeast there. Want to keep going towards Monday the 3rd. Again, we still are dealing with showers and thunderstorms throughout the Southeast. Still snowfall throughout the Rockies and Cascades. We're even seeing it for the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest now. And the warmest area is going to be along that eastern seaboard. I want to keep going. We're right on the edge of something. For Tuesday, we get, again, snow showers, some neutral temperatures. So it's colder in the north. Again, not purely warm. This is February 4th. It's cold enough for snow in these areas. So some snowflakes flying. A lot of activity in this area from California through Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska there. We have just this explosion of activity These lines are very close together, which is indicative of stronger winds and more activity, and then it spreads out throughout the east. I mean, we see it really just flare out, and that's going to be indicative of calmer weather. But this is all heading eastward. We see by Wednesday, it really, really starts to get its act together. We get a strong low over Colorado, which could cause a massive snow event for the Rockies, by the way. Also for the northern plains and upper Midwest up above it, even ice in between. But the real thing that I'm also concerned about is going to be the area underneath this warm front and out ahead of this cold front in here, where we could have more severe weather flaring up for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, maybe even Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois area with some thunderstorm activity. We can tell that the Arctic air is diving in behind this thing. The warm, humid air is rising up out ahead of it. And this is the perfect swirl for severe weather in general. We see by the time we're reaching Thursday on the 6th, it really gets its act together. 997 here over Iowa. The biggest amount of snowfall here is over the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Minnesota. Your warm front is out ahead, and we do have snowfall to the north of that warm front, but that warm front is heading progressively northward. So for those areas in a situation like this, I'm saying in a situation like this because it is 300 hours out, but you would typically start as snow, mix over, and then end up as rain if you're on that warm front side of things. We do see there's a cold front underneath this as well, where we have the rising warmth and humidity we were just talking about, and then we have the cold, drier air swinging underneath that and behind that cold front. And this would really flare up severe weather chances for these areas, again, underneath the warm front and as that cold front swings through. Really, really something to watch for because this model has been trending at these lows, moving up into the upper Midwest from the South Central states, which puts all of the kind of Ohio Valley and Deep South states and Southern Plains in the crosshairs for severe weather chances. This is a classic storm track that would cause severe weather risks. We can tell that at the same time here by Thursday the 6th, we have another storm system moving on shore of the west where really activity is just not letting up. Snowfall for portions of Oregon, California, and Nevada there. Again, Thursday the 6th. Here's Friday on the 7th, and we have that thunderstorm activity as well as showers and potential severe weather here on Friday extending into the day on the 7th here. More storminess across the west, rainfall for the valley, snowfall throughout portions of the Sierra Nevada, Cascades, Rockies here. Really, really impactful. Saturday, the 8th, snowfall prevails out in the west still. We have continued thunderstorm activity here across the southeast, looking very spring-like. And even for the next day, we see that this low moves in from the southwest up into the Midwest. And this is also a different storm track, but equally conductive for upper Midwest snowfall. And then you end up with this same warm front, cold front look. So we end up with another chance of severe weather throughout this corridor here, as you can see, with storms flaring up. Really, really an impactful look. Again, you have the surging warmth, cold air swinging. That is overall a bad look, low to the north. So we get that on multiple occasions here through this model run, and also tons of snow. And really, I would extend it from the Rockies through the northern plains and upper Midwest. That area is really, really going to be the hot spot here over the coming weeks and a place to really watch. Also, I mean, just the mountainous west in general. So we can extend it even further. This whole area here is going to be the bullseye for snowfall here coming up soon. GFS model, let's see where we get agreement and disagreement. Would really stay quiet. I mean, we get this clipper system into the northeast the same way. So Great Lakes gets snowfall. And then some of the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. We end up with this rising storm through the plains. And again, this is still very indicative of severe weather in these areas around the end of January, early February timeframe. Watch it play out. Strong storms flaring up from Friday the 31st, Saturday on the 1st of February here as well. That could be a 2-day severe weather event with heavy snowfall for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. And then we end up with another storm system where we get thunderstorms and severe weather, perhaps a little bit more widespread. Further north here, just a few days later, another one flares up here, bringing severe weather to the similar areas, 5th and 6th time frame. And then, more of that flaring up here over the coming days after that. But the interesting thing is here by the 10th, we start to develop this positive PNA look out west where we're just warmer in general. Then the cold is sliding over the top, and it is headed eastward behind a low between the Great Lakes and Hudson Bay here, with a dragging cold front pulling that cold air in, warm front right here. So likely severe weather along that boundary, but not only that, cold would theoretically be on the way for the east after this point, looking at this current look here, which would tell me that perhaps this warm pattern in the east, cold in the west isn't as long-lived as it might seem. It's hard to tell. We've, throughout these cooldowns, been seeing the models produce warm air at the tail end and then see it kind of fizzle out. So maybe this is the opposite here. Maybe we truly are in a warmer pattern and the models are kind of just trying to, get something to stick as far as a cooldown headed back towards the east. But only time will tell. I really don't feel like it's a lock that we're going to see an overall warmer February as a whole. It's obviously leaning that way, but there is still some signs that would point towards more cold being on the way at times for February. And for those of you in the further south areas that are perhaps not seeing snowfall, like more of the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley, this would maybe be a more promising sign, but time will tell, like I said. As we take a look at the total precipitation, it's really, really easy to pick up on the flow of things. West Coast into the Rockies looking very active. And then we just get this rising motion through the Midwest and Great Lakes. We also get a lot of cold fronts moving through the deeper south. So overall, I mean, a lot of these areas as well dealing with above average precipitation. So let's take a look at the anomalies. And yeah, I mean, this is just explosive. Outside of the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies, we do see above average precipitation in these areas. And then for the central states into a lot of the deep south and kind of just avoiding the mid-Atlantic and far southeast, we end up with above normal precipitation for a vast majority of areas in the east and central states here. Crazy, crazy stuff. Total snowfall in the European model, I mean, it reflects exactly what I'm saying. This area is the pocket to watch for a hugely dramatic increase in snowfall versus what they've been seeing. But we still do get some here for the Northeast, but we kind of do shut down the snowfall for these more middle areas throughout the kind of plains, Ohio Valley, and Mid-Atlantic. We need more cold air to move back in for those areas to be back in business, basically, for more snowfall. I know a lot of you are still longing for snowfall in these areas, so I will keep you guys up to date with the latest as far as if there will or will not be snowfall. GFS model, a little bit even less optimistic out there. We see continued high amounts of snowfall for the west and north central states, with some for the Great Lakes and northeast. But again, these more middle areas here, the ones missing out the most, as they typically see at least quite a bit, and, kind of a lack of snow here over the next, I would say, 14, 15 days here as we are looking all the way through February 10th. Could change. We could suddenly see something pop up. But for now, I wish I had better news for you guys, but I really, really don't. The European model's temperature pattern, we're very cold still, but we see a warm up moving in here, especially as we move towards Tuesday the 28th, Wednesday the 29th here, well above normal in the east. But then for Thursday the 30th, we get another cool down, followed by another warm up starting Friday the 31st into Saturday the 1st. It lasts through the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and I mean, it's really warm right there. That's maybe 20 to 30 degrees above normal along the East Coast. That could bring some 60s and 70s into the Mid-Atlantic. So huge, huge flip from what we've been seeing. We do cool back down, however, with a little bit of a cool down for the 4th, 5th, 6th, before we warm back up for the 6th, 7th, 8th. And then it looks like we stay warm. You could tell that we're seeing like 2 to 3 warm-ups and 2 to 3 cooldowns in there. It's not purely warm and purely cold in the west. It is flip-flopping quite a bit in there. That's the overall premise that I see for the next few weeks, with a majority warm, but still cooler at times. The GFS model will agree. We see the warm-up here, followed by a pretty decent cooldown, followed by a pretty decent warm-up, and then eventually followed by an impending cooldown as we approach the 10th. Again, we're warming up here towards the 10th on the GFS model. The cold air is sliding over, and overall this warmth is trying to just desperately move out to let this cold move in. This positive PNA is really driving the pattern here. So that is the look at the end of the model run. This could completely change, especially at hours 384 by tomorrow. So take it with a serious grain of salt. But there is still these hints that we could see colder air moving in at times, especially over the next, 2 weeks, and especially as we move into February. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload. so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.